Hi, I'm Maria Fotopoulos, and I'm recording this video so that I could chat a little bit about my personal experiences with St. John of Damascus Orthodox Educational Initiative. I'm not great at recording videos, so I apologize in advance for the quality of this video or lack thereof. But I just wanted to talk about what I have experienced. And I think what I've experienced is quite extraordinary. Everything I'm saying under the Lord, and it is true. And I'm qualifying what I'm about to say with that because it does seem a little unbelievable, but it really happened. So when I first found out about the initiative a few years ago, I immediately decided, together, of course, with my husband, that we were going to pull our two youngest children out of the school they were in, and we were going to homeschool them and have them take classes with the initiative. We thought this was a godsend, something that could fill gaps for us because we were both very busy, and our oldest three kids were already either graduated or near high school graduation, but our two youngest were young enough where we saw this as something we could do. So before we did, I actually interviewed Father John Summers, who is the headmaster of the initiative, for an article that I wrote for the Spiritual Watch, which was just an interview with Father John. And during that interview, he said something that struck me. I didn't doubt what he said, but I wondered how it could manifest realistically in my kids' education. And I had these question marks even though I myself am an educator. I have a bachelor's degree in middle school and elementary education. I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction and educational leadership. And I taught in the public school system for many years. But I still was surprised by what he had to say. In particular, what stood out to me is that he pointed out that when children engage in a classical education, it's not just the knowledge that they are gaining that is key, but that it actually, in a sense, restructures their ability to learn. I'm not sure if I'm exactly phrasing that. I'm paraphrasing what Father John said. You can look up the interview in the Spiritual Watch. But that's what I got from it. There are studies, as Father John pointed out, that support this. Like, for example, kids that study Latin do better across the board on SAT scores, standardized tests, and even though the questions they do better on may not have anything to do with Latin, but it kind of strengthens your brain's ability to be a learner, if you will. So I wondered how that would pan out in reality with my kids. So fast forward, I did pull out my kids from school. We enrolled them in the initiative. There's that Megan always points out that when she scrolls back to the very first kid that ever enrolled in the initiative, it was my kids, because I did not want to miss this opportunity. For me, it was a godsend as an Orthodox parent who was deeply concerned about what my kids were being exposed to at school. That was a priority for me. Now, Michael. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say any names. But he, it's not really that he was a terrible student. He was an average, maybe in some ways, a student who didn't like to do homework, a student that didn't get the best grades, and for whom I did receive unfriendly comments, if you will, from teachers. And for years, because Michael had been in the public school system, and then when we had some shockingly not good experience in the public school system, even though I taught in the public school system full time, we then decided to find a way to, through financial aid and other means, to put him in a private school that was a Protestant school. So we figured, okay, this is, at least they're not going to be exposed to some of the worst things that we find even in my rural public schools where my kids went to school. So we did. We had put him in a private school at that time when I pulled him out. But he'd been in school for many years, his entire elementary, and at that point he was in middle school. And so he had never been what you might call a great student, or maybe even not even a good student. So we pull him out, we put him in the initiative. He takes classes with multiple teachers in the initiative, of course with Father John himself. Fast forward 2 years later, after being in the initiative, he starts to really complain because he wants to participate in sports. He's very athletic. He's in various sports, and he started to express that once we were past the middle school and we were into the high school age, it was not as easy for us to find sports that were, super competitive teams. For middle school, we could find organizations that were not affiliated with a public school or any school. But at the high school level, it was harder to find good competitive teams of various sports that he could participate in that were competitive, that were not a part of a school. So he convinced his father and I to pull him out of the initiative and re-enroll him full-time in school. So we did that. And what I'm getting at is that what happened next shocked my husband and I. You can divide Michael's academic career into pre-initiative and post-initiative. And it wasn't the same kid. And there were a couple of subjects, even though he was now older, because it is a private school, that he did have the same teachers. And the teachers were like, who is this kid that you brought back 2 years later? He was a very good student. And I want to try to stay away from overly bragging as a parent, because I know that's never fun to have a parent overly brag, but I strongly feel that this was a direct result of the classical education, of the logic classes, of the rhetoric, of the learning that he did while he was in initiative, that he went from a mediocre at best student to being really at the top of his class. This year he finished his 11th grade year, and he was in some AP courses. He was the only junior. There were seniors in the AP, the standardized national AP exam that he just took. I think it was in May. None of the seniors in his class scored a 4, which is the second highest score. They scored 3s. This is according to his teacher sharing this. And Michael scored a 5. And like I said, I don't like to brag. Maybe I do like to brag, God forgive me, but the point is, this really happened. I don't know if you can see it. This is the score report for his AP exam, perfect score, youngest kid in the class. And this was his report card. I'm not sure you can focus in, but his grades were unbelievable. 99% on his final exams. Just crazy stuff. Who is this kid? Anyway, it wasn't who he was before the initiative, which is my point. And to this day, even though like I said, I pulled him out of the initiative, he hasn't been in Father John's logic and rhetoric classes for a while now. To this day, he'll say to me, yeah, Ma, that's a logical fallacy. That doesn't follow blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, don't use that against me. But the education he received with Father John had a deep impact on him and with the other teachers of the initiative. I actually, my husband and I sat him down and said to him, how do you explain this? How do you explain this? And we couldn't get you to do homework, and now all of a sudden we never speak to you about homework, and you bring home these grades, and just quietly are doing this consistently for years now. How did that change happen? We pull you out of school, worried that you're going to fall back, and you come back with this? How do you explain it, Michael? And his answer was, Father John Summers. He said that something clicked, that he realized what he wanted to be as a learner, what he wanted to be as a young man, how he wanted to prioritize his life, how he viewed difficult tasks, to not be afraid, not afraid of them, but to not shy away from a challenge, but to face it head on. There was a shift in how he perceived himself and his goals, and a shift in how he learned. So beyond that, I can't explain it. Everything I told you is true. So I hope that helps. But before I end this video, I want to share a little bit about my daughter. She was not interested in sports, so she finished high school with the initiative, primarily with just also taking some supplemental math with teaching textbooks, which I highly recommend. Incredible program if you want to supplement with your math education. But we had a situation with her health that I might as well take this opportunity to thank everyone who's listening, the whole of the GOC, for your prayers. Without your prayers and help, I shudder to think where we would be today. But thank God, glory to God, and above all, the Lord and the Theotokos. The Theotokos, incredible mother and helper and mother of all Orthodox Christians. I glorify God. She's doing so much better. But at the time when she was still finishing high school, we faced this health journey that kind of, I don't know how to explain it, kind of threw us off course and kind of affected our hope and kind of shattered us at a certain level. And it had a deep impact on Georgia at the time. And we were concerned also about how this was going to affect her education, because we were reeling, and we were reeling for a long time, and it was hard to focus on anything else. And Father John Summers was very patient, and he also was patient for Georgia, for her learning and everything. Fast forward a year or so, a couple of years, maybe a year and a half, and things are starting to, through Panagia, are starting to look a lot better. So Georgia decides that she's ready to see if she can, fulfill her educational dreams and go to college, and she wants to also go into education. But at that point, she did not have a transcript because of her having been in the initiative for probably her entire high school career, I think, maybe, or most of it at least. I can't really remember exactly when she started her journey with the initiative, but so we tried to enroll her in Frederick Community College, and because she doesn't have a transcript, she has to take placement tests. She had to take a math placement test, and she also had to take I think it was a writing placement test, multiple placement tests. And I'll be honest, I was nervous because she had been in the initiative, and then she had a very significant amount of time without any real schooling at all, because she was dealing with this crisis with her health. So now that everything is looking much better, thank God, she went and took these placement tests, and I was like, oh Lord, I hope it doesn't, disappoint her. I warned her, I said, if you have to take some remedial math and English or whatever before you get to the college level, that's okay. That's okay. We'll do it. You're going to be okay. I didn't want her to get disappointed again, But she went and took the placement tests and aced them, blew them out of the water, went straight into her regular math 110, English 101, etc., without any holdbacks, and finished her first semester of college at this point, and she did a stellar job, aced most of her courses, got a B, 1B, the rest were A's, and she just did a fantastic job. So that's about what I have to share. I hope it helps. The level of education that you get in a classical educational setting is above and beyond, I think, even the best public school programs could possibly offer. That's been my experience. So, thank you.